India's hidden conflicts behind the Independence Day celebrations. As India marks its Independence Day, waving flags and celebrating freedom from colonial rule, an unsettling parallel persists. In the same nation that celebrates unity, several regions remain ensnared in armed conflicts. Millions of citizens today live under the sway of insurgent administrations that challenge the reach and legitimacy of the Indian state. This report explores that darker reality of Nagaland's self-styled government, Maoist influence across the Red Corridor, and the ethnic insurgencies in Manipur and Assam, highlighting the human cost and national implications. Nagaland's parallel governance. In Nagaland, the rebel group NSCN-IM has evolved far beyond insurgency. It has established a fully functioning alternative government known as the Government of the People's Republic of Nagaland, operating from Camp Hebron near Dimapur. The group divides its area of influence into 11 administrative regions based on tribal lines and runs 9 ministries covering defense, home, finance, foreign affairs, education, information and publicity, forests and minerals, law and justice, and religious affairs. The Home Ministry, in particular, serves as a de facto replacement for Indian state machinery. The heads of these regions are accountable to what the group calls the Kilo Kilonzer, based on Wikipedia and Deccan Herald reporting on NSCN-IM's administrative structure. Over the years, NSCN-IM has presented itself as a government in exile, interacting with international bodies, maintaining foreign contacts, and even hosting emissaries abroad to raise support for its cause. A Delhi court, in rejecting a rebel leader's bail application, officially acknowledged that NSCN-IM operates a parallel government within Nagaland, based on Wikipedia, Deccan Herald, and court orders noted in Indian media. The says main, these structures have persisted through a protracted ceasefire that began in 1997 and continues to govern a persistent halfway zone, neither war nor peace, but reality, based on a political study into NSCN-IM's ceasefire and governance model. Paired with the historic peace accord signed in 2015 in New Delhi, where leaders of NSCN-IM and the Government of India shook hands in a symbolic moment, the political process remains incomplete. Negotiations continue even today, though a final binding settlement remains elusive, based on the 2015 Naga Peace Accord. Number 240, Naga Peace Accord. The Red Corridor and Maoist influence. Across central and eastern India, known broadly as the Red Corridor, the Maoist insurgency persists. As of March 2025, 18 districts across 7 states remain officially under Naxalite influence, based on Wikipedia's Red Corridor data. However, progress has been made. The number of left-wing extremism affected districts has fallen dramatically over years, from 126 in 2018 to 38 by April 2024, with only 6 districts considered the most severely affected, based on the Indian government's data via PIB. By mid-2025, India's security forces report having neutralized between 210 to 220 Maoist rebels, with operations like Black Forest or Operation Kagar making major territorial inroads. In a single operation across Chhattisgarh and Telangana, security forces killed dozens of insurgents, arrested 84, and confiscated arms, ammunition, and IEDs. Sources include multiple government reports and statements by the Home Minister. In May 2025, India killed Nambala Keshav Rao, the General Secretary of CPI, Maoist. In a breakthrough operation, his elimination hailed as a landmark blow to the insurgency, based on a press release by the Home Minister. Such operations have significantly weakened Maoist influence, and Bastar, along with Kondagaon districts, were removed from the Union Home Ministry's Red List after decades of insurgent activity, based on national reporting on regional delisting. Yet, conflict continues. In January 2025, a Maoist-planted IED in Bijapur killed 9 people, including 8 security personnel and a civilian driver in Chhattisgarh, a stark reminder of the insurgents' continued reach. From detailed incident reports, in May 2025, the deadly Abujmar clash resulted in the death of Rao and 27 rebels in a security operation deep inside the Abujmar forest of Chhattisgarh, from incident briefings on the encounter. Even after such major disruptions, Maoist units still lay IEDs and use remote violence, focusing on ambushes and remote attacks to avoid direct engagement. ACLED data shows that armed encounters in 2025 are more lethal than the previous year, with civilian casualties rising, especially among tribals, based on ACLED analysis. To address infrastructure deficits in conflict regions, the Indian government approved over 190 crore rupees for road development in Maoist-affected districts in Chhattisgarh, enhancing connectivity and public services. A rail link from Kothagudem in Telangana to Kirandul in Chhattisgarh has also been cleared to open the Red Corridor to economic development, based on government announcements. Despite these gains, human rights groups warn of the cost accusations of extrajudicial killings, arbitrary detentions, and forced displacement accompany security operations, particularly in impoverished tribal areas where mining and militarization have aggravated tensions. From Guardian coverage. End of noting. Manipur's ethnic violence. In northeast India, Manipur has been in crisis since May 2023, with raging violence between Meitei Valley dominant and Kuki-Zo Hill minority communities triggered by the state granting of scheduled tribe benefits to Meiteis. Based on reports in national media, by early 2025, Manipur accounted for 77% of all insurgency-related incidents in the entire northeast. President's rule was imposed in February 2025 following the resignation of the Chief Minister, and the Armed Forces Special Powers Act was reimposed across most of the state, marking a breakdown of the state government. From government statements and national press reporting, reports confirm over 250 lives lost and more than 60 people displaced into camps. Camps are segregated along ethnic lines, fostering deep mistrust, fear, and fragmentation. From AP and investigative reports. N4.com. On the ground, armed Meitei groups control Imphal Valley, while insurgent-aligned Kuki factions dominate the hill districts, resulting in de facto segregation of governance. Security forces have launched operations, arrested militants, and seized weapons, but communities remain unstable, based on Force India and regional news sources. Still, attempts at reconciliation offer glimmers of hope. The UNLF signed a peace accord with the government in late 2023, and in 2025, the Thadu Inpi Manipur initiated peace talks between Meitei and Kuki representatives. The state government has also begun repatriation efforts for displaced persons, though Kuki groups have suspended engagement with the center pending meaningful dialogue. From Times of India and Economic Times coverage. Assam and cross-border insurgency. Further west in Assam, insurgent groups like Ulfa continue leveraging sanctuaries in Myanmar. However, recent surrenders of Ulfa cadres in Nagaland indicate partial success of counter-insurgency strategies. From recent press reporting, porous borders, especially with Myanmar, complicate state control, allowing militants to regroup, receive training, and move across frontiers. This external support base intensifies internal conflicts and strains India's strategic security calculus. From commentary on cross-border insurgency. Common themes across conflicts. Despite their distinct origins and ideologies, these conflicts share common threads. 1. Parallel governance structures. In Nagaland, NSCN-IM replicates nearly every arm of government. In Maoist areas, villagers rely on people's courts. In Manipur, ethnic armed groups hold administrative sway in specific territories. 2. Administrative vacuums and citizen impact. Where the state is absent or distrusted, insurgents fill not just with force but governance, collecting taxes, running schools, enforcing law. Citizens are forced to choose or adapt to alternative administrations. 3. Porous borders and regional dynamics. Myanmar serves as a rear base for multiple northeast insurgent groups. Weak boundary enforcement hampers stabilization efforts and threatens to spill violence across Indian borders. 4. Human cost and civilian suffering. Displacement, loss of life, trauma, restricted access to essential services, and erosion of trust in institutions mark the plight of millions caught amid conflicting authorities. 5. State responses. Force, negotiation, reconstruction. From AFSPA deployment and President's rule in Manipur, to infrastructure investments in Maoist regions, to ongoing dialogue with NSCN-IM, the state employs a mix of coercion and conciliation. But gains remain fragile, especially where accusations of bias persist. The meaning of sovereignty and unity. Independence Day celebrates the idea of a unified, sovereign India. Yet, when large parts of the country function under alternative systems, independence becomes fragmented. When governance is contested within, sovereignty becomes conditional rather than absolute. To move toward genuine unity, India must prioritize political courage, inclusive dialogue with insurgent factions, infrastructure investment in neglected areas, transparent security operations, and community reconciliation measures. Only then can the vision of a truly unified India where every citizen feels represented, protected, and equal under the law be realized. This Independence Day, the national anthem echoes across stadiums and streets, but behind those walls, children in relief camps, villagers in tribal hinterlands, and citizens under insurgent control await the real affirmation of their belonging. Thank you. Subscribe Zalengam Media.